Did you know that DNA runs on light? I love that. Do you believe it's possible to activate dormant DNA? Nikola Tesla did. Can you use an activation or an energy frequency upgrade? I know I can, and I actually did experience that. So I had to invite the founder and director at the Quantum Activation Center. On the show today, my guest is Dr. Christopher McLaine. We just call him Doc. He is a near-death experiencer, chiropractor, founder and director of the Quantum Activation Center. So a friend of mine wrote a song, "We're not sick, we're just awakening." So if you've been feeling puzzled as to why you feel like shit, what's going on with your body, your energy system, this is the show for you. Imagine harnessing the very forces that power the universe to heal and energize our lives. So we're going to explore some amazing quantum technologies.
Did you see that one?
Designed to empower you to achieve the highest, best good. I am Heaven Hope. Welcome to the Heaven Hope Experience, where I share experiences that could possibly empower, inspire, and awaken more light in your body. If you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. That is what we are going to deep dive into today. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to be talking about all the quantum activation possibilities at the Quantum Activation Center. I'm renaming the Quantum Activation Wonderland. Let's begin with, how did you create the Quantum Activation Center?
I already had an existing business in place with the chiropractic and the hyperbaric and orthotics. Came across a post one day from this lady that I knew indicating that she was getting ready to launch all these quantum technologies. And of course, I've always had a curiosity about those things and Tesla. So I decided to check it out. And the next morning we were talking. It was actually February 22nd of 2022. And she called me at literally, my phone rang at 2:22 in the afternoon, and her phone number is like 222 something, and it was really just like a strong coincidence of numbers. And then we sat and talked a little bit about the different technologies. She had a catalog with a bunch of different things. She said, well, just take a look at it and see what you would pick. I got started with the bioresonance analysis, the Rife machine. After that, I bought the Pleiades capsule, which is a far infrared sauna capsule that incorporates light therapy and ozone therapy and sound therapy.
Frequency medicine. Where do you think it is going?
These technologies were developed a long time ago. If we say that we're bringing the future, we really have to give credit to the past. I think that the future is that more and more people are understanding that, yes, we are frequency, energy, and vibration beings, and that if we're not utilizing these technologies to help ourselves, then we're sort of missing the bigger picture. The future, I've already been doing this since February of 2022, so it's amazing. The future is now.
I wanted to ask about the nervous system. I have a passionate interest in, and you were mentioning how the nervous system was very intricately involved with frequency.
Yes. So, if you understand even like a condition like multiple sclerosis, for example, it's the myelin sheath that wraps around the nerves that transmits the energy from the brain to the body and from the body back to the brain. There are specific pathways that information travels from the brain to the body, and those pathways are just like electrical wires. It's like a breaker box. The power cords themselves have a rubber coating around them, and that helps insulate them so that the energy could get transmitted from one end to the other. So that is why we think, the nervous system runs on frequency, sound, and vibration. If you look at axons, they're chemicals, they're neurotransmitters that are signaling action potentials, the way the nerves fire together, the Hebbian philosophy about nerves that wire together, fire together, so they influence each other.
Dr. Joe Dispenza uses that all the time. So he didn't originate that. Who was the person that you were quoting?
We call it Hebbian philosophy. I believe the scientist's name was Hebb, H-E-B-B, and it basically is saying that the whole nervous system is intertwined. One aspect of it affects other aspects of it. For example, as a chiropractor, when we do, say, like an adjustment of the back, I don't consider it just as a mechanical structural fixing of the spine or the pelvis. I consider it as a calibration of the brain because we're increasing the input of the signals from the body to the brain. We're going to travel those specific pathways and hit a specific part of the brain and then travel back specific pathways from the brain back to the body. Really amazing, intricate system that not as understood as it probably should be.
Share with us all the different amazing quantum technologies, tools, and modalities you have available, including the Roxiva lights, which I experienced out of this world. When I sat there in the chair and the lights were flashing, I literally went somewhere.
The cream of the crop is the Tesla biophotonic light bed right behind me. I also have the bioresonance analysis and tuning system, which allows me to create the sound biotics. And this is the system where I can measure your whole body and measure what the frequency is in different aspects of your body, from organs, from all different perspectives, blood vessels, veins, arteries, nerves, all kinds of really amazing aspects, lymphatic system, joints, bones. And then I have the Roxiva lamp that you mentioned, basically a brainwave entrainment device, and it uses stroboscopic lights to create these cyberdelic sound and vibration journeys, sound therapy along with light therapy, and the chair vibrates. It's really quite a multidimensional experience. I also have a full Rife machine, which I can use in combination with the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. I have a quantum optimum detox foot bath, and I have a far infrared sauna that uses light therapy as well. And I call it circuit training.
Call it circuit training.
Circuit training because, you're using all these electric modalities to kind of change what's happening in your body. Similar to what you might think of as if you went to the gym.
We're energy beings. That's safe to say. We're energy beings.
Yeah.
Let's discuss how we're energy beings and how to be more mindful and aware of our energies.
Actually, that's a really good place to start. Just for example, like, take your hands and put them close together. You might be able to feel the energy coming from one hand to the other.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Positive charge, negative charge, the giver, the taker. That's one way that energy's going on. Some people, when they walk into a room, the lights flicker, or when they drive down the street, city lights turn on and off. And so I think it's possible that we could all have different tunings of frequencies, but essentially it's just like we're a light bulb with a dimmer switch, and some lights are brighter and some lights are less bright.
How can we be more mindful and attune our energies on our own, first and foremost?
That's a great question. I think also spending time outside in nature, being exposed to the sunlight. Nikola Tesla said in regards to these lights, that basically we're trying to recreate the sun. And the sun is so healing. Hospitals used to have decks where they would just put you out in the sun for 4 or 5 hours a day, and that would heal people. And, your body reacts to what's going on with the sun. You make a hormone called vitamin D. The thing is that the earth is surrounded by the ionosphere, and the ionosphere has a positive and a negative charge to it. And all the energy coming towards the earth from the universe and the sun is basically absorbed into the ionosphere. It's sort of like a shield, like a protection. The negative ionic stuff that we get when we walk on the ground with our shoes off, or walk at the beach where the waves are crashing, or get near waterfalls, go places where lightning is striking, hopefully not striking you. That's how the negative ionic energy gets down to the earth. And I think that's important to acknowledge, that it's coming from there, but that the earth also has its own frequency.
Explain to us the meaning of frequency.
We are from the earth. We have an extension of the consciousness of the earth. And the earth resonates at a certain frequency or hertz. The Schumann resonance, which is actually like sort of a frequency heartbeat of the earth. And the earth is 6 to 8 hertz, and living beings are 6 to 8 hertz. The Schumann resonance can be measured just like taking somebody's heartbeat. The heartbeat of the earth is the same heartbeat frequency that humans operate at, 6 to 8 hertz. And now with all this ascension stuff going on, we're saying that the earth frequency, people measure it, it's been at 10, 11. And so if we're in sync at 6 to 8, and then the earth is changing up to 11, that means that we're changing up to 11 also. People are experiencing things like anxiety and headaches and sleep problems and all kinds of things. These are definitely could be considered ascension symptoms. The ringing in your ear, the buzzing in your ear. Well, these are the changes that are happening.
I have definitely experienced those sensations. I've been wondering, like, what is going on? I don't think I'm the only one. Many people are encountering this, would you say?
Yes.
My understanding is these quantum modalities that you have are really helpful for navigating through these shifts and changes of the ascension process, the awakening that's unfolding on planet Earth at this time.
It's really as people reach a certain level of awareness, ascension, then these tools can help complement their awareness and their ascension.
I have read and come across information that we're essentially 99% empty space.
An atom, if you think of the structure in a cell, protons, neutrons, electrons, the space inside of an atom is 98% empty space. I think that might be what you were trying to drive at there.
Exactly.
It's empty space. Well, then how come I'm not falling through this chair? Or how come this computer's not falling through this table or something?
Mhm.
It creates an illusion of solidity and it creates an illusion of time, but really it's just molecules that are rising and passing away, just like a candle flame. You look at the candle flame and it looks like it's constant, but it's really not. It's just rising and passing away. It's like, oh, I look at a river, I step my foot into the river and the river's flowing past me, but it looks like one thing, right? So
Yes.
yeah, I think that's really powerful. And then in your body, you have things that we call electrolytes, like minerals that allow all these chemical signalings to happen within the body. You have neurotransmitters, you have the nervous system itself, which we know that there's no way that that couldn't run on anything except for electricity, vibration, and frequency.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the conditions that people have, we can go in and specifically measure, all right, well, where is the frequency in these things? And what if we could use a device like the bioresonance machine that I have to fine tune those frequencies that may have become off? Thirdly, you could even go down to a deeper level from there and say, well, why did those energy levels get off in the first place? They got off in the first place for many reasons, but one of the most overlooked reasons is microorganisms, pathogens, parasites, all these things, mold, bacteria, fungi, and all these things that are able to get inside our body and they're very specialized to survive inside of us. And it's hard to get rid of them once you have them, which is why the primary message I want people to walk away with from today is that when it comes to these organisms, the easiest thing to do is to prevent getting them in your body in the first place. And if we
How?
have, well, if we have time, that's the big question. I mean, you could write a whole book on the subject, but the reality is that most of it comes down to your food choices. These organisms are sort of hitchhikers, like the Trojan horse. They find their way into your body, and you invited them in by doing this.
That frequency is
Schumann resonance typically is between 6 and 8 hertz, which
okay.
is the same as the human resonance. If you're talking about cell voltage, the optimal resonant frequency for a cell is negative 70 millivolts. For example, though, cancer cells have a negative 15 millivolts. I have a little interesting theory about cancer, and I don't treat cancer or diagnose cancer or anything like that, but I have an idea that if you have ever seen what frogs do or turtles do, they lay millions of eggs or at least a huge quantity. And this is a survival tactic so that maybe a few of them survive. Well, when your energy in your body gets low to a certain place, then your cells start mass replicating in an effort to survive, like those frog eggs or the turtle eggs. And that mass replication is really a response to a lowered energy state, which we can measure. Otto Warburg won a Nobel Prize in 1930 for his work on cancer and how the energy and frequency of the cells was low in those patients.
Didn't he do an experiment where he had these petri dishes with, I've forgotten now.
Not sure about the exact experiment, but what he did find is a lot of people get some of this confused and they say, well, if you want to fight cancer, then you should just not eat sugar because sugar feeds cancer. And honestly, that's not 100% true. Sugar feeds every cell in your body, including cancer cells, which Dr. Campbell says you have in your body from birth. And the big difference is whether you've done something to turn them on or not
Right.
as a reaction to a lowered energy state because they feel like you're dying. So we might as well mass replicate and maybe some of us will survive. But
Low energy
oxygen,
state. Let's address that for a minute. I think that's something that we all have to contend with. Life, especially right now, it's an intense time on planet Earth. Lots of uncertainty, chaos, lots of intense changes. We can very easily fall into a low energy state. So, how can we keep our energies at a much higher frequency?
the lifestyle medicine stuff that I teach really incorporates a whole number of variables from what you eat, how you move your body. We have what's called an EQ, not just an intelligence quotient, but we have an exercise quotient. And it's important for everybody to kind of figure out what's best for them, how to move your body properly. We can help people figure that out. And of course, that's modifiable. You can start out with a 10-minute walk and have it turn into an hour-long walk as soon as you're ready for that.
You do that, right?
I take an hour-long walk on the beach. I wake up early in the morning and make that part of my routine. And To be honest, I see that as just as important as sleeping and eating.
Mhm.
Dr. Greger said not moving your body an hour a day is a high risk behavior, not taking a walk for an hour a day at a brisk pace, a high
Right.
risk behavior.
Sitting, they say, is like the new smoking. It's
Well,
really
you're
detrimental to be that sedentary.
because your brain and body are intimately connected. Every movement or feeling that you have in your body stimulates a very specific aspect of your brain. And if your body is just not moving, then your brain's not being stimulated. It's like a stimulus response machine. That's why it's important that you have all these other factors: what you eat, how you sleep, how you move your body, how you manage your stress, how you interact socially, turn out to be really big things. Dr. Dean Ornish has done a lot of work in lifestyle medicine, could be considered one of the grandfathers of lifestyle medicine. And what he found out recently is that social connectedness factor had one of the biggest impacts on longevity and health. I want to take that a step further and say, great, we should be doing all of those things. But when you add in the frequency healing stuff and the frequency medicine stuff, you're really getting that missing link.
It's really cool because you've actually integrated the social element into Tesla Lights. You have events where people come together at your center called Activate, where you have 8 people sitting in a circle. Share with us about that.
We had this idea one day when a full moon was coming up that why don't we bring a group of people in? Normally, just one person lays on the table, but we collapsed the table and spread the carousels out. And originally, we had 6 people, and it evolved into the 8. And one day, somebody said, "Oh, well, this is like we're activating," so we called it the Active 8 with the number 8. Funny that last Friday we actually had 10 people, which is cool too. We had a really fun time, but we said we were active number 8, number 10, so we were active 8.
How often do you do this?
Tuesdays and Fridays. Once a month, I go to Upland and do a workshop at this really cool shop. We start at 8 and finish at like 8. And we do about 4 sessions per hour over the
Activate sessions?
one-on-one. I bring 2 of the carousels with me instead of all 6. They're really fragile and you have to be careful when you travel with them. And that's about a 2.5 hour drive. We're setting up arrangement to do some sessions like that up in Fallbrook. We have some other places in the works that we're looking to expand out to as well.
Taking it out on the road for people who may not be near the San Diego area, coming to a town near you.
I'll be at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles in February, booth number 90.
Let's unpack DNA and explain the meaning, and then let's get into whether we can activate dormant DNA.
There's a lot of really interesting history and science behind DNA and how it was discovered. And you think like Watson and Crick, but there was actually a woman that was involved. I apologize because I can't remember her name off the top of my head. The 3 of them,
Was it Crick?
Watson and Crick, were the
What's it?
males that were,
Okay.
associated with the discovery of DNA, but there was actually a female counterpart who was sort of pushed to the side a little bit. And this is
As
just
usual, yeah.
what
So we're
happened.
gonna have to remember her name and bring it back
We'll
in.
get into that. And I really apologize to all women for not being able to remember her name. Sorry.
Apology accepted.
It's not that long ago, 1954, if you think about it. Okay. This is really just in our distant past. Our understandings about how the human body works in relation to DNA and genes and chromosomes. When I went to chiropractic school starting in 2013, one of the things we learned about in taking health history was, well, does anybody in your family have heart disease or diabetes or cancer and strokes? And what we know now from the Harvard studies and a lot of other interventional studies and random controlled trials is that the incidence of disease is more driven by lifestyle than it is by genetics. And in fact, they would say 80% of the diseases that we're experiencing are really more lifestyle driven than genetic driven. There are certain things that do have a big genetic component, and you can never rule that out completely, but it's almost as like, oh, well, my grandma had diabetes and my mom had diabetes. And I would say, yeah, well, no shit. You all sat around the same table and ate the same crappy food. It wasn't your genetics, it was what you were eating. And that's really the truth. And now when we start looking at epidemiological studies, looking at the specific demographic studies, we can see that certain places around the world have less amounts of heart disease and cancer and diabetes and strokes. The United States, we spend more money than the top 30 countries in the world on healthcare combined, yet we still have some of the worst health outcomes: heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and strokes. These things could all be considered preventable diseases if we implemented the proper lifestyle protocols. But the reality is, one of my friends just had a widowmaker heart attack 3 weeks ago. And while she was in the hospital, she's a naturopathic doctor and she teaches people how food is medicine. But her cardiologist in the hospital said, yeah, whatever. Like, heart disease has nothing to do with your food and what you eat. And then proceeded to feed her 2 sausage links and the egg McMuffin sandwich and some other like chocolate milk or some other crap that they served her for breakfast the day after she almost died from a heart attack. Cigarettes have nothing to do with lung cancer.
I remember the days when doctors used to smoke cigarettes and promote in commercials.
Nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
Is there anything I have not asked you that you would like to speak into?
Well, you said before about like, well, what can people do? If they don't have access to come here, then what can they do? And I have some really good resources that I like to give out to patients. Because like I said, focusing on the lifestyle medicine aspect is really priority. And it's nice to be able to have the frequency technologies to complement that. But in the absence of the frequency technologies, these are really important steps that you can take. One, you can go to certain websites that I refer people to all the time. And that's things like nutritionfacts.org, run by Dr. Michael Greger. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine.org. It's abbreviated PCRM.org. Places like that. Dr. Colin Campbell has a website. It's called nutritionstudies.org, or Forks Over Knives. There's some amazing. Dr. McDougall, who sadly recently passed away, was, one of my all-time mentors in the lifestyle medicine arena. He has an amazing amount of recipes on his website. So it's not a matter of you have to completely change what you eat overnight, but we just want people to know that there are simple steps that you can take. There's 21-day guides from the PCRM on how to shift your kitchen around so you have the proper ingredients, how to make things. Actually, November 16th, which is also the anniversary of getting the Tesla lights in 2023, reached a 35-year anniversary of being vegan. And I actually stopped eating animals in June of 1987.
And how do you feel?
I feel amazing. I've went through the COVID. I didn't get sick. I've been exposed to a lot of patients. I told you about my near-death experience and my brain injury. I feel like I recovered from that and was able to go to a really intense chiropractic program that was 3.5 years of like, all right, you stand there. I'm going to open up this fire hose. You take a drink out of it. It was really intense. And I was 43 years old when I went to school. And that was challenging in and of itself, plus having a brain injury. I feel like, my background in lifestyle medicine that I had before I even became a doctor really helped me to tackle some of these things.
Share with us, this is a whole other track about your multiple UFO sightings that I've heard about through our mutual friend.
Well, it started out actually when I was a kid, and we lived in Phoenix, and we used to drive back and forth to Los Angeles or San Diego on spring breaks and summer times, come to SeaWorld, come to Disneyland, all those fun things, Knott's Berry Farm. Back in the 1980s and of course 1970s, we were, 2 adults and like 6 children in a station wagon. Okay. So there was 3 people sitting in the front seat, 3 people sitting in the back seat, and like 3 kids like laying in the back of the station wagon, like no seatbelts, just sitting back there, And so we were driving back and it was dark, and we just kept seeing all these lights like right above us. Like they would turn on, then they would turn off, they would turn back on, and they would just go on the whole entire way, about a 7 or 8 hour drive. Recently, when we were down in Ocean Beach one night, we were just kind of like, and we looked up and it was like, whoa, look. And I don't know if they were UFOs or interdimensional beings, but we were running the Roxiva lamp and we had this big giant alien down there.
Where you go?
So I don't know. Maybe they were just trying to communicate with us, They said, take us to your leader.
You also do things at the beach, right? You bring your Roxiva.
We try to get this out there into the community. We have to understand that people need to be ready for this technology. It's not like, okay, we need to put it like a Starbucks on every corner and have everybody start consuming it. It's really as people reach a certain level of awareness, then these tools can help complement their awareness and their ascension. But we're not trying to make this all for everybody. We just want to really get out there. And even when we go out to the beach and do it, hundreds of people will walk by, dozens of people will stop, and they'll like, we got a sign, like, well, what is that? And we explain it to them. But the reality is that they don't usually do it. The people that do it, they'll just walk up and they'll go, oh, what is that? That looks really cool. I want to try it. They don't need to have a website to go read information about it or anything like that. They just have this sense of intuition and gut feeling that this was the right thing for them to try. And then you've never done anything like it before. You said your experience was that way. Nobody's really had these types of experiences before, so you don't really have a way to compare it to anything. And your mind is blown. It's just like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. That was really crazy.
Totally blown. It's very addicting because there is a feeling that you have and such a sense of energetic flow and clarity in your body temple. You can feel the light coming through. In fact, I really loved what I saw on your website as your mission. Do you remember what that mission was?
I don't have it right in front of me, but I could say that our mission is to try to reawaken your true self and activate that highest potential for you. And when we talked about DNA, when those 12 strands of DNA are activated, we understand that DNA is like the hook into the source field. So you will be more connected to source. And then things that you do will have that connection go with you. And you'll really notice a big increase in coincidences and chance encounters. Oh, I was just thinking about somebody, and then the phone rang, and then they were there, stuff like that. So it's really been a great journey and lots of fun. And I enjoy sharing it with people and seeing them benefit.
Found your mission statement, which I want to read. At Quantum Activation Center, our mission is to provide life-enhancing quantum technologies that empower individuals to achieve their highest and best good to help this world transition to a place of light and love. I love that, because the mission of this channel is absolutely to reunite the global and galactic family of light, which is why I had to have you on the show. Such an alignment and resonance with all of that. I want to say thank you, Doc. What a great interview, full of powerful transmissions of information and important knowledge about how frequency and energy works for the highest good of all on the planet. On that note, where can people find you if they're interested in working with you or experiencing any of these amazing technologies?
The best way to find me is my website, and that's called the quantumactivationcenter.com. And you can leave a message there. My phone number's on there. One of the other things that's possible is once you come here and do a session, sometimes we can do things that we would call like remote sessions as well. We've done the activate sessions and we've done live recordings. People that are tuning in to our live recordings are getting some sort of a benefit from the activation as well. We want to expand that out. We'll have the core group of 8 people here doing these sessions like a beacon, a lighthouse, and we're just broadcasting that frequency out. And we've had some amazing intentions. We slowed down the hurricanes. We've had full moon ceremonies. We've done activations on people that had specific things that were going on with them to try to help them, creating group intentions. And I'll have to give credit to Lynn McTaggart for the Sacred Circle of 8 research that she did to create these Circle of 8 groups.
I love working with the power of intention. It's critical that we do that as a collective. And the more that we can gather together in small groups and growing into larger groups and ultimately expand to the entire planet, really come into harmonic alignment with intention for the highest, most optimal, healthiest timeline for all of humanity. What is the most important thing that you think humanity needs to know right now?
I think it goes back to the near-death experience, is that when you're gone from this place, whether you want to call it death or not, you will go to a place of pure love. And so even though this place is challenging and everything, just remember that that place is there. And the people that are there are cheering you on. They want you to succeed. They want you to ascend. And they're there to assist you and protect you and guide you. So I really think that it's important to remember that they're there. Sometimes people just get so caught up in daily life that they forget or they feel like they're not being protected. And I'm here as a conduit to tell you that they are there and they will protect you.
I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Their presence and their support. What would you say has been your experience with Nikola Tesla coming through for you and the work that you're doing?
Obviously, Nikola Tesla had a huge influence. A lot of the things that we experience in our lives today are the direct result of his innovation. What he would tell you is that these really aren't his ideas. He was a channel for Pleiadians. He was a channel for Venusians and other sort of, you want to call them extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings. He was able to receive the information downloads from them in his head before he ever even drew it out on paper. And then when he drew it out on paper and built it, it was already perfect. This is more than just genius. The man was incredibly smart, but he was able to hear and listen to those downloads that were coming through.
I love Tesla's work. I love the Tesla lights. Let's all agree, set an intention that very soon, in the very near future, not only will we make contact, we will absolutely be living on a planet where we have free energy.
Nikola Tesla wrote a paper back in 1890s and gave it at a speech in Buffalo. It was an 18-page long paper, and it was the American Electrobiotherapeutic Association or something along those lines. And he basically was espousing how all these electrical devices were amping up the state of human beings and that they were tools for that. And so people have always said, well, do you think frequency medicine is the future? And I say, well, I hope it becomes more prevalent in the future, but it's really sort of a relic from the past. And it's just sort of now getting a chance to blossom and become part of our lives again.
Thank Goddess, and thank Tesla, and thank you. I believe that we are finally evolving to a place where we are recognizing that we are energy beings and we are much more mindful of our frequency and how to keep it elevated. So hopefully this interview and the information that we have shared and brought through has really empowered people to know that this is available and is something we can all avail ourselves of, especially at your center.
The other thing too is that you can experience them here directly, but these devices are also for sale. So if you wanted to put them into your home or your practice or clinic or whatever the case may be, your healing center, your wellness center, whatever you call it, these things are available for purchase.
All of that information is available on your website. Where is your center located?
Ocean Beach, San Diego. Unfortunately, we're a mile away from the beach, and it's really rough living here with all this beautiful weather and palm trees and sun all the time. But, you know, we survive through it.
Y'all are just going to have to come for a visit and experience the Tesla bed, have some quantum activations at Doc Center. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for the interview today.
Thank you for all the beautiful information you've shared with us, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back at the center. Let's all agree, set an intention. In the very near future, we will absolutely have free energy. It is time for the release of Tesla's technology. If you got value out of this, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for the light. I'll see you in the next videos. Free energy.